Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another podcast of C&E.
Hello, everybody.
I'm David Caduto,
I'm Aaron Lanuza.
and we have some interesting things to talk about, and this one's probably going to be a little longer than most. Um, so let's start with the subject. The subject is going to be basically what's going on this week and what's coming out and whatever entertainment, of course. Unfortunately, we are going to have to take a little hiatus for a few months. Hopefully, not more than a few months, but we'll see about that. So we'll get into that later. So,
It's taken us off guard, I think, as well.
yeah. So
It's been a long summer so far, even though it's just beginning.
yeah,
July.
it is. So, but let's look forward. And so, looking forward, so what happened this week in the world of entertainment? Well, I know for a fact, in a couple of days, actually, um, they are actually releasing a new Rogue One trailer. So this is going to be, another tidbit. I think. Do you think we're going to see a lot of new footage?
I mean, I would have to say that whatever footage does come out, everyone's going to get really excited. But for the amount, I don't think that they want to give too much away yet.
No, yeah. I mean, I think everybody knows the premise of the film already. Whereas I think in Force Awakens it was a brand new type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, but there are some. I think one thing we will see though, I have a pretty good inkling we're going to see Darth Vader, or at least.
I think no.
If they don't put Darth Vader in this one, I'd be floored.
If they're releasing information about Darth Vader being in the movie, there's no way that they aren't working on a trailer where they're going to show
exactly. Now, that being said, I don't think it's going to be all about. But I think they're.
He's going to make an appearance.
That's going to be fun.
I can't wait to see what kind of how his costume's going to look, because there's no way that they're going to have him dressed the same way he was in the 80s.
It's been. Don't forget, this is really an in between Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, and New Hope.
But they've got to update his suit.
Right, they do. So it probably is going to be the same suit, just shinier.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the shinier suit.
Absolutely, I think everybody is. So, moving on. So we have another, I think, a fun, cool animated movie coming out this week, and it's called The Secret Life of Pets. This is by Pixar, of course, who's done Despicable Me and others. And but this looks really, really cute.
A lot of people were thinking this movie was going to do really well for the box office and make the summer. This one was going to hit home.
Yeah. Well, because Tarzan, a lot of people had their hopes pinned on Tarzan because of the cast. You had Alexander Standard, who was actually Stellans. If you don't know who he was actually in the Avengers as who played the Doctor. That's his oldest son.
Oh, really?
Really. We had Margot Robbie, of course, this is her first. She actually appeared in The Big Short in a cameo,
but not
a big part. No. And then this is her first major role, and then of course everybody's looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on August 5th in Suicide Squad.
So I know her performance in Tarzan did Tarzan come out yet?
It came out last week.
Have you seen it?
I have not. The reason I say this is because I won't say bombed, but it didn't do what it was projected and expected to do. And so one of the third members is Samuel L. Jackson is in it, and then of course Christopher Waltz. And Christopher Waltz has done several films, but I won't say one of his best known films was playing in Spectre last year. So he was the villain in Spectre. And he did fantastic in that. So I think this had a lot of hype behind it, but it just didn't do well. So what I was saying about Pets, I think that it's basically going to try and save this month. Because beyond that, we don't really have a lot.
No, yeah, the summer blockbusters, the movies that were coming out this summer weren't. We had a good lineup, but this was one of them that was gonna.
Yeah, there were a
Hit the
lot
mark.
of sequels that just absolutely collapsed. Independence Day, the Resurgence collapsed.
Didn't do so well.
There were several others that just Now You've Seen Me Too, which I saw and I didn't really enjoy. I just for a multitude of reasons.
So what do you think they're gonna make? And Now You See Me Again, and
Yeah, actually,
Now You Don't See Me.
Yeah, no, yeah. They're going to. I think they're in development for a third one. Okay, believe it or not, and I didn't like that one. But nonetheless, so that was another sequel, and there were a couple other sequels that just did not do well. So they were hoping that Tarzan and this is going to do it.
I think people were they were probably going to be very hopeful for a good Tarzan.
Right.
I think that was going to be really tough to make really good.
Yeah.
It just seemed like one of those very expensive productions.
Well, it's a lot of CGI, and more than Jungle Book.
That's why, because by comparison, you're expecting something just to be as stunning, as stellar, but with Tarzan and CGI, you're kind of backtracking.
Yeah. So, so we have A Secret Life of Pets, and I think anybody who has a pet is dying to see this movie, including myself. I remember seeing the trailer 3 months ago, and I went, I can't wait for this.
I love Pixar movies. I think they always do a good job of hitting home with the heartfeltness.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Toy Story with pets. I truly believe that, because it's one of those movies where it's like there's a story behind it, and it's just going to be a cute movie. Moving on. So, and then at the end of the month, of course, which not at the end of the month, at the beginning of August, which I'm dying to see, and I know you're a huge fan of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
This is going to be...
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, I mean, I should see Tarzan just to get a little snippet
the funny thing is, it's two totally different roles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so, I just want to see what kind of actor she is.
She's British, for anybody who didn't know that. It's comical because you see her in some of these movies. She's British?
I noticed that in the Foxtrot movie.
Yeah.
That is coming out.
Yeah.
Soon. Or has that already come out?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Foxtrot, and it's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's just she has a British accent in that one.
Yeah.
But that's her original accent.
Yeah. So so August is sure to be a good month in that respect. But actually, so let's look forward to the end of the year. I think there are a couple films that are we've touched base on them a couple times. Well,
Marvel.
Yeah. Well, we have, as you were just talking about, Doctor Strange, which comes out in November. I think that's going to be everybody is dying to see.
Yeah.
What Cumberbatch can do is Doctor Strange. That's a whole new
era. Genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Of superhero.
It really is. And so we'll see how he fits into that. We have, of course, Rogue One, which is, as we spoke about. But more importantly, I think the other one everybody's looking forward to, and nobody's really talked about yet, is Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
I think this one's going to be. So we did a whole.
We've seen some trailers come out.
Yeah, we've seen one trailer come out. If you want to, we did a whole podcast about video games, and if you'd like to listen to our other podcasts, you can go to SoundCloud, which we are on, and it is you can search under my name, David, David Caduto, Caduto.
Which he's actually changed.
Yes, which actually I've changed to Steele for other purposes, but nonetheless, you can see all of our podcasts there, and we did a whole video game podcast, which we talked the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, but Assassin's Creed is one of those that is yet to be made. That I think it's going to be an interesting movie. So,
can't wait.
But yeah, it's a movie that it's going to be. And this is going to be another movie with CGI, and it's going to be a lot of acting, but it's going to be like, okay.
No, but yeah, this one we keep talking about it. It can really make the video game industry.
It can give it a boost.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can really give it a boost. So, yeah. So there's nothing. So we've seen a lot of like Justice League stuff come out in the last week or so. What essentially costumes. Nothing storyline based. As a matter of fact, there were some reporters, comicbook.com, there were a couple reporters that went to London where they are shooting the new Justice League movie, and so they were able to see on set. And so you do go to comicbook.com, you can probably check out a lot of Justice League stuff. That is going to be fascinating. That's going to be the big movie for 2017. Um, just in general, because that is the next one. But
it's just the epitome of superheroes.
Well, it is. But DC has to pass the test.
And that's what's going to happen this next month.
And it really is, because we all know, we did a whole month about Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice. But the simple fact is, it made its money because it was what the fans wanted, not because of what the critics liked. And so that's going to be the big difference. This is going to be, and if DC makes movies for the fans instead of critics, it's going to be fascinating because they're not really worried about what other people think about it except the fans.
Well, I think Marvel's doing a good job of that now too, because they came out with the new movie with not Daredevil. Why am I thinking of Daredevil?
I don't know.
Who's the newest baddest Marvel character?
Oh well, Black Panther in Civil War.
Okay, so him too. But yeah. Now they're not just showing superheroes, but they're also showing the opposite side.
Right. No, absolutely.
So they're kind of going a little bit in different directions.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that Marvel they make movies for storyline purposes. Every single Marvel movie I've ever seen, 16 of them, every single one of the storylines is top line. Every single one. And they're able to humanize. Yeah. They're able to humanize the person instead of.
No, they've got natural science.
So and they do, and they really do. The writers need to be commended for it. So let's talk about. So let's really talk about. So let's basically talk about let's talk about the hiatus.
Show, yeah. Show itself podcast.
Yeah, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts, brass tacks. So we are going on a hiatus for hopefully
hopefully a couple months. When we say a couple months, maybe 4 months.
Well, let's call it the end of the year to be nice. Okay. And so everybody's starting to do their own thing, and But this is more of a reflection podcast, I think, because it's we've done this for 6 months, and it's bigger, and we hope to come back bigger and better.
Absolutely.
And so
more guns out there.
So let's talk about memories. What was some of your favorite memories of doing this?
Well, let's see. I remember our first podcast.
I do as well.
Yeah. Nick Faverco was on with both you and I, and it was nerve-wracking for me. I remember just having all my notes together and trying to be very careful, meticulous as to pulling out every single sentence that I thought, would be able to fit with this idea. Yeah. And I realized, how much research I hadn't done. Yeah. But I just remember not having a voice to be able to speak. Yeah. It was really the first episode today, just getting to see everybody who was on with us. Yeah. So, it's incredible.
I got a lot of people to thank. Well, I should say we have a lot of people to thank. Number one, I think that I thanked them in the first podcast, and I'm going to thank them again here in the last podcast as we take a hiatus, and that's the mothership of USA Today. Because Kelly Lawler and Brian Pruitt and Brett Molina, whom I've actually spoken to quite a bit on Twitter, these guys do this for it. And we are trying to ascend and attain that status of being able to do that. And so they were the ones that gave me the inspiration to begin with.
I just also want to intercede and tell you guys that throughout the process, David has been very just adamant about the podcast and making it better and bigger and leading it. like a mothership. And USA Today has been a really big help in guiding us in that direction.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody with more passion towards this than David. He really with this podcast he has talked to people at USA Today and really has created community within the podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast community.
So, a couple of other people I want to thank. I do want to thank Nick Laverca because he was on our very first one.
Really
so
fun.
That was I look back at that now and I say that was about an hour and 20 minutes. I thought, oh my God, that was so long. But we did touch upon three things, and that was we basically got the gist of it. I want to obviously thank Aaron because he's been a top-notch guy. Always comes in doing his homework, even if he's not the best of it. He still got his notes and he's ready to rock and roll.
Doing what I can as a newly fresh reporter.
Exactly. I want to thank Shelby Stewart because she came on board mid-season and she just
really
kicked
some butt.
She just killed it.
Has a great personality.
And she's going to go a long, long way whenever she does.
Yeah.
She loves sports. She loves movies. But personally, I see her as like the next Aaron Edwards sports. I do.
That's great. That's a great compliment.
She's young. She's beautiful. She's talented. And she's funny as can be. And if you heard some of the stuff she said off mic, it just dying laughing. I'd like to thank Mr. Ron Inchigan, who...
Hello, folks.
So his cameo, basically, no, in all honesty, that was Ron Inchigan that just spoke. But, no, I want to thank Ron because there were a couple of times where I thought the ship was sinking like the Titanic, and basically he stopped the iceberg. So...
And let me tell you, folks, that it's not easy to keep something going.
Afloat.
Yeah.
Back of a word.
When it came from nothing.
Yeah, and so that being said, I want to thank Skylar Barty too because Skylar, I brought Skylar on because
he's got the knowledge.
Well, he's got I won't say the nerdy knowledge, but he does have a lot of good knowledge, comic book knowledge, more than both of us combined.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a aficionado in that respect, and he did another podcast before, but he definitely brought something to this, and I think
the enthusiasm.
Exactly, and so he was opinionated, but he was considerate and respectful, and that was a big thing too. As you talked about, I want to thank Dave Bro. Dave Bro is a professor here at College of the Canyons. Basically, he allowed me and Aaron to not only get our podcast out, but really make it excel. And
give us the faculties to be able to do that.
Exactly, and so that was something that was necessary for us to grow. I want to thank too, and there's a ton of people to thank. I want to thank I'm blanking on his name. Oh well, I want to thank our guests, all of the guests that came on, from Maddie White, from Maddie Blumenauer to Nicholas White, to our biggest interview I think we had a blast doing is George Pinocchio. These three people in particular, we can sit around and talk about movies and entertainment for 40, 45 minutes, but let's face it, how much fun is that? But when we have people that can come in and actually tell their stories and say, this is what we do and this is what we aspire to be and everything else, and people that are established in the business, I think that's the biggest thing in the world. And when you get to hear their voices and not just our voices talking about that story, but their voice in particular, it's really important and exciting, frankly. I think that was my, talking about memories, that was probably one of my biggest enjoyable things. The fact that, Aaron and I you can listen to this podcast, but Aaron and I did a whole red carpet on the movie Forsaken, which was an amazing Western.
Which is how we ended up meeting George Pinocchio.
Yeah, well, that was. And we got to talk to some other people. I'd like to thank Carl Weathers because he didn't have to take the time to stop on the red carpet to talk to us. And you know, that was I'll always have that memory of talking to Carl Weathers. And
Can you just remember it for us?
yes. So basically, there were a number of people that were out there, and so I said, I wanted to talk to Carl Weathers, and of course, anybody in movies, he was huge in the '80s. Rocky, as he was in all of the Rocky films, except well, the more recent ones. He was Apollo Creed. That's probably his most famous role. He's done Action Jackson. He's done other films, and so I got a chance to speak to him for a few minutes, and it was just fascinating that he was just a normal guy. And I think that's what people really don't see. They see the outside looking in, but when you talk to him, and you only have a few minutes to speak to him, it's like, oh, wow, these people are really cool.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about our favorite cowboys and whatever else. So
down to earth.
It really, really down to earth. And the other thing too is,
and you even got one word with
with my claim to fame. My claim to fame with Donald Sutherland. So he was the last one. To come down. Unfortunately, I didn't get to interview his son. But being said,
they do these paparazzi circuits constantly.
These junkets are done all the time.
Yeah, and so they just have like nearly hit the end of their capacity to be able to do those things. So by the time they reach the end of the red carpet for us, we basically just have no opportunity because they're just done.
Yeah, well, and they're like, okay. So the story behind that was the publicist was coming, like, no more questions. And I just stuck the microphone on and I said, so how did it feel to finally work with your son after 35 years? Good. I said, okay, thank you. And so that was my claim to fame. But in all honesty. But the other person I'd like to thank too is John Cesar. He is a director that he's a fascinating guy. You really take the time to deal with him.
Very
talk to him, kind as could be. And so anybody who has watched the show 24 in the early years, know his name because he directed almost every episode.
So he started out as a cameraman.
Yeah. So
worked himself up to it.
Yeah. So but one of the things I asked him was, how different was it to because he worked with Cougar for some years in 24. How different was it to actually do this with him? And so we basically said that it was a completely different character, and you knew what you were going to get with that. And so, but yeah. So I mean, as you said, and that's where I met. I also want to thank, as I did mention earlier, Nicholas White. Nicholas White was a reporter for Us Weekly. He's done People. He's a freelance journalist. He's gone to all of these cool entertainment things. And he came in and we spoke to him for about 45 minutes. Yeah. His whole podcast is on there as well. So, all of these guests that we talk about, that we've been discussing and whatnot, make this podcast worthwhile. Because it's just being able to say that you've interviewed the top 3 guys in the nation as far as entertainment is concerned, it's a big deal. And I think a lot of people want to hear.
It's exciting.
Well, it's exciting. It's exciting, exhilarating, but it's also to see where they come and see how humble they are. And say, well, I came from.
And sharing those experiences with us as new reporters.
Yeah. So, I mean, passing on the knowledge. As a matter of fact, speaking of Mr. Pinocchio, let's discuss. Aaron had the courage he was a little nervous that night, but he did have the courage. Tell him what you did with Mr. Pinocchio that night.
Oh, well, I suppose we couldn't leave without talking to him because in the business that we were in, we're reporters, and entertainment was what we were really interested in. So talking to one of the biggest reporters, we thought that would be really important. Although we nearly left without that happening. Let me just start by saying that it was our first red carpet event.
Hopefully many more will come. So,
And with our first attempt, we were out there before even
Newbies.
getting into the business, before even getting into this red carpet area, and we were talking about how we were going to talk to everybody. All right, well, be professional. Okay, so make sure to continuously talk to as many people as you can because the connections are just what you need.
Well, and then that's the thing, and that's the biggest thing. I think the biggest takeaway for entertainment, as far as we're trying to get a job,
Yeah.
and like the fact is that you put down as a reference George Pinocchio or Nicholas White. That's and actually put down contact information for him. Wow, this is wow, because it's one of those things where a lot of people they don't get to do this,
and if you don't attempt to try and put yourself out there, then it may not happen for you. And it just seems like David has been pushing and pushing throughout the semester and into the summer, pushing so much, and we wouldn't have gotten any of these opportunities, even with Pinocchio, if it wasn't for his stern thinking about that as a rationale, that you have to make connections in this business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, back to the story.
Yeah. So,
we were at the red carpet, and we were all about to leave, but Mr. Pinocchio was about to do his last stand-up before he was about to go, and I asked him before he was doing that, or after he was finishing up, if he could actually do a quick shout out to some of the students and just tell them as reporters, as new reporters, what it is that he like some small advice, some advice for student reporters who want to be in his shoes, because him as a reporter is just it's incredible to be able to meet somebody like that. Yeah. Those are shoes that we want to fill one day, but they are very mighty shoes.
And
he said yes.
If you go to YouTube, and I believe it's under your name, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
So spell your name out so everybody can know where it is.
Okay, so actually on YouTube, if you check me out, it's Lanuza, Lanuza 818, and you should be able to find my whole channel. It has all my portfolio.
Well, I said
that as well as this.
Well, the video you put together, I watched after the fact, was completely and totally top-notch, and it took you, I don't know, 2 days or whatnot to put together, but like, wow. And you look at it, it's a professional type of thing, and so.
Oh yeah.
But it definitely made the grade.
Very fun to do.
Yeah. Well,
thank you very much.
No, you're welcome, and that's the thing. I think that. And by the way, this sounds like a big love fest and everything else, and it kind of is, but
it's our last podcast.
And it is, but for a while, but it just basically needed. Sometimes you have to go back and really reflect on who got you here, how, and whatnot. And I mean, that's the thing. I couldn't have done this without it. And that's the kicker. And I mean, I've gone through a number of people that have thanked. Speaking of,
it really is the belief system.
Yeah, is there anybody that you'd like to acknowledge?
Well, let's see. Throughout this podcast experience, I suppose that it is everybody who we were working with, and it's the teamwork that's involved with putting this together that really makes what we have here as good as it can get. Because we're not saying that this was the best podcast. We all were able to put something into it and really take away something or give something back. And what I mean by that is that when the teamwork is there, when you have the passion and you have the belief behind it, that C&E is something that we really care about and that we want to offer to other people, that's whenever it gets good. So I say Skylar Barty was a great, he really introduced me to the idea of entertainment as this real lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you too.
Yeah.
You, David, had taught me about passion itself, and which is why I had backed you up since the very beginning.
Yeah. No, and
the passion in itself is what I thought led this so intimately, because even with Pinocchio, we ended up doing the interview. We ended up doing it just 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah, no, and that's actually kind of, I don't, funny is not the right word, but fascinating.
It was
Because it was
fascinating.
like,
Very
wow,
fascinating.
my God, that was only 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we
And
did it at the ABC 7
yeah,
news station
and
in
so
Glendale,
yeah,
and when we did that, if we had to keep it together and do the interview, because we have a podcast to do, it was because we had that mentality in
yeah,
the back of our mind. But David kept it together so well that I think that podcast, honestly, I am very surprised that we have as little viewers or
yeah. I
listeners
mean,
as
yeah,
we
I
have,
mean,
because he did a great job that day, just hitting questions that just were right, like back and forth with Pinocchio, keeping him smiling the whole time. So I have to say that everybody who we've encountered throughout this process is someone who we really learned from.
yeah. But it's one of those things where this whole podcast, you know, reflection for me is I'm glad I started it. I mean, I had this idea a year ago, and so last semester it came and went, and I went, okay, what if we did this?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I went, okay, it's time to get this thing in motion. And so that's when I started gathering people, and I said, okay, and I spoke to you about it, and
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, let's do this. And we needed one other person like that who knew the comic book type of world, and I figured Nick could come on board for a few of them, and so
He's
we did
funny,
it.
quirky.
Exactly.
You got the good voice
Exactly.
for
And
it.
so we
He
did
knows
our
the
first
business.
one for an hour and 21 minutes. Can't believe it's that long. But we touched upon three different things. And we touched upon the Force Awakens, the Oscars, and basically diversity.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that was 6 months ago. And it's evolved. It's completely and totally evolved. And so, one of the things that really every single week, I thoroughly enjoy doing the podcast. I look forward to them on a Wednesday because it's, everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same monotony, and it's not the same, oh, okay, here we go talking about stuff. No. And so, because entertainment, it encompasses everything. It encompasses movies, it encompasses television, it encompasses, music, it encompasses video games, technology.
Yeah.
And so, that being said, it's one of those things where it's always nice to have that variety. Um, so, I am going to actually put out a little plug here for myself. So, for the past year, I've been trying to put together this movie. And I shouldn't say movie, it's a short. It's 25 minutes. And it's called, right now, the standing title is called Black Widow. And so basically, it's about this young man named Hunter who comes home from training with the FBI,
Mm-hmm.
and he meets this girl named Rachel, and his best friend Blake. Well, backtrack. His father was an FBI agent who just retired, Pierce, and so he comes home, and his buddy comes over, Blake, and they're like brothers. And they go out for a cup of coffee, and they go to the Starbucks, and they meet Rachel. Well, Rachel is not who she seems, possibly. And so he finds out some things, and they both find out some things, and it's a fascinating twist. I'm not going to give it away, but the reason I'm plugging this is it's my first feature film. I've written it, and I'm going to direct it. So that's another reason why but I'm going to focus on that for a while. But I'm going to put the link to Black Widow. And I would like anybody who's been a fan or a listener to check out the story. I'm not going to get into the whole thing here. I don't want to bore you. But if you feel like you'd like to help or contribute, which by the way, I'm got to say this, Aaron was very generous and put it in his own $25. So I want to thank you for that. I know I did before, but on air I want to do that. But this is what I want to do.
You're welcome. The reason why I did that is because just like this podcast, with a belief system. And as far as we were able to take this podcast, no, regardless of whether we have to do the hiatus or not, it takes someone who has passion and who has the ability to actually carry on something with an idea and knows how to actually fulfill that need.
Yeah.
To know how to get to the next point. I know that you'll be able to do that as a director, and I've seen your writing before. Guaranteed, this is I believe in this product. I
Yeah.
believe in you, and I think that's what you need.
So, so anyways, like I said, I'm gonna put the link on there. Just read it. If you feel like this is something that you'd want to contribute to, absolutely. Yes, I am begging for money at this point.
What he's referring to is his GoFundMe.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I have a GoFundMe account. So, and what I'm going to do is anybody who contributes to this account, what I've already decided that I'm going to do is I'm going to print out a script, a copy of the script, and it's 24 pages, 25 pages, but I feel like I want them to know exactly what they are putting their money into. So it's just not a black hole. So,
and really what you're doing is you're making an investment on a future.
If you want, what I will do is, if and when you do decide to contribute, please leave me your email address. And actually, you can email me at Dave, which is 913-1975 at gmail.com.
Can you say that one more time?
Sure. Dave, D-A-V-E, 913-1975 at gmail.com. And in the subject bar, please write Black Widow donations, and that way I just don't consider it junk. But what I will do is I will send you a PDF of the script, and that way you have an idea of exactly what you're putting the money into. And once the product does get finished, and it will get finished, hopefully, my goal is to begin shooting the end of this year and have it done by the end of 18. I want to put a trailer out. I want to do this right. So, your money will definitely be going to a good cause. What I will do is I will send everybody, once a finished product comes out or even a trailer comes out, I will make sure to get, excuse me, I will make sure to get everybody a copy and send you a video of the trailer and the finished product. Because I feel like anybody who does decide to contribute should get something in return, so they're not just, and most people die collecting money down the toilet. Mm-hmm. So definitely, I want to, give you something for your time. So on that note, so like we've been talking about for the past 20 minutes or so. I'm going to step away for a few months.
Not necessarily to not do any work in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we will try and come back to this at the beginning of 17. So maybe January. I mean, hopefully by then, we'll have had more listeners and whatever else. We are going to rebrand this stuff.
So talking about rebranding, I think that when we rebrand it, maybe we should start coming back just to bring back our audience, and then right after.
Right, but in all honesty, one thing we can do is, you have a Twitter account, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Give everybody your Twitter handle, please.
My Twitter handle is Muza, or Nuza, Gain. So news again, Nuzagin, Nuzagin.
Okay, and because I want anybody who enjoyed the podcast, and basically, if you want to follow Aaron and myself, and I'll give you my handle in a moment, but if you want to follow Aaron and myself and chit chat with us about whatever ideas, stories, whatever you have, I'd love to hear from you. So, it's one of those things where you can still stay in contact with us about things, and you unfortunately won't be able to hear us every week, but still stay in contact. My Twitter handle is wannabe rounder. That is WANNABEROUNDER. So want to be rounded. And then that's my Twitter handle. And like I said, follow me, follow Aaron. Shoot us any questions you may have. Ideas in the future and whatnot. And you know, we'll
Stay in contact.
exactly. When we start back up and we rebrand this, we want to be bigger and better. And so, maybe in the process, we start lining up more interviews and doing more things. That way, when we do come back on, that people will say, "Oh, they've got this person, or they've got that person." And, it's a fantastic way to actually keep in touch with people. I mean, I'm still trying to get Brett, you know, convince him to do like a phone interview because I think that would be a really cool. You've heard from Pinocchio, you've heard from Nicholas White, but the guy who's been in the business. Can you tell us who that is? Brett Moline is one of the founders of the Mothership, who I've been speaking to for about 3 months. Nice guy, nice guy. He's married, daughter. It's funny because you hear about these people, but Twitter is more of a personal thing. I mean, that's like one day we were talking about how his daughter spelled maple syrup. It's computer.
Oh my.
It was that damaged, but it was still, it was kind of cute. She's like 5, and but so the computer was fine, yes, but it was just one of the personal things, and I think that's the personal touch that everybody's looking for. So on that note, so for one final time for the time being, hopefully sooner rather than later, I'm David Caduto.
I'm Aaron Lanuza.
And you have been listening to CNE. Thank you very much, guys. 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 Thank you very much, guys.